generative AI and Stable Diffusion finally working great inside Photoshop? Yes. Fully control the poses and renders? Also yes. But can you create this or this? Yes again. Let's check it out, and I'll show a quick walkthrough of how it works. Hey, I got a question for you. If I photoshopped a medical license, would that be a doctored image? So the link to this is going to be in the description below, but what you need to get this plugin running is this file here, and well, Photoshop obviously. So if you download this CCX file and then just double click and install it, easy as that. If you have Stable Diffusion running, you're going to make one change. You're going to go into your Stable Diffusion folder. You're going to find your web UI user.bat, and you're going to drag that or open it with Notepad, and you're going to add, after set command line args with everything else you might have, you're going to add --API so the plugin can get to your Stable Diffusion. Now, if you don't have Stable Diffusion, you can use Stable Horde without any installation. So, just keep going and you see how that works. All right, so we are in Photoshop and we have loaded the Auto Photoshop Stable Diffusion plugin. If you can't see it, go to plugins up here, Auto Photoshop, and just click that in. This is what we're working with. So like in regular Stable Diffusion's Web UI Automatic 1111, which I actually got running in the background now. So I've linked it to an API running on my local computer. You have the prompts here. This is a positive prompt and the negative prompt. So this is what you want and this is what you don't want. What I have here are just preset styles. So my D-oil style, which can be found in the video description below in free styles. And you have text to image, image to image, Inpaint and Outpaint. We're going to look at them today. You also have the ControlNet extension that we're going to go over, which has been a real game changer when it comes to Stable Diffusion, give you full control of the composition or a pose in an image. And if you don't have a local installation of Stable Diffusion, you can run this with Stable Horde. So this is a crowdsourced solution where the community is using their computer power to generate the images for you. So you can select the backend or what system to generate the images. Now I have Automatic 1111 only, which is my computer. You can use native Horde with no plugin needed, or the extension for Automatic 1111. If you have nothing, check native Horde here. And we are gonna create something here. Let's clear the scene. And what you do now is, I actually have a canvas size that is bigger than standard rendering in Stable Diffusion. So I have 4 times the size of a 512 by 512. That means I will be able to outpaint. So I have the selection tool here and I had set it fixed size at 512 by 512. This means I get, every time I click, I get a little box here. And now when I generate, only this area will be filled. So now I have set in Cyberpunk City. I have the width and height set to 512 by 512 and the CFG scale at 7. We're going to generate here. And now the sampler is actually set at Euler A and we have 25 steps. So here we have our first. So this is fairly good. And what we can do now, we can either keep this or we can generate more. And if we do, we will be able to see that inside the viewer here. So if we go in here, we can go back and see the renders that are in the temp right now. So let's select 4 more images and you can actually generate more inside the viewer. So you don't have to go back and forth every time. So let's pick this scene with the woman walking here. We have some cars on the side, and then we're going to press the little checkbox here to apply what we've done. If you've been around for a while, you noticed I'm on the left side here today, and that's because I want you to see what's going on down here. Now, it's not a lot, it's just the layers, but there's not a lot of info going on the left side. So what we can do here now is we can take this selection, move it a little bit, and change this to Outpaint. And this is similar to Canvas in Invoke. For now, we're just going to keep this, Cyberpunk City. If your mask content here is not set to latent noise, when we have nothing here, you will get no extra here. So if you're outpainting to nothingness you're going to change to latent noise here. So we're generating the outpainting here of our cyberpunk city. And after this, we will be able to make some adjustments. And I think that we will need to do that. We'll see what I mean in a little bit. Notice here we got nothing. So we need to change our mask here. We need to paint in some white here. And I don't know if it's a user error or if it's a bug, because it keeps happening. And let's try again. So now this part should be added, and it does. Now I did remove the little piece of car here. You can actually see there, but I'm fine with that because we finished the other car. We might need to fix that part, but we can get back to that later. And if you're happy with that, press the little checkbox again. Let's try and add some more out here. Actually, let's go a little bit down like this. And we're changing the mask, and we're setting the mask, and we're generating again. Now, while this was kind of cool, it lost all of the street here, so I don't think this is really what we're looking for. Let's try another one. Well, this can be a little struggle with outpainting. Oh, now it moved up there. I was going to say it looks great, but then it kind of jumped away. So maybe if we should be able to fit somewhere there. That looks about right. That's nice. Now we got some legs here. But the good thing is now that we are in Photoshop, we can actually fix some of these things quite quickly. Now we could inpaint those, make some of those changes. But for now, we're just going to keep the healing brush there. I say we didn't line up it perfectly, but that's all right. Let's keep adding to the left side here. I've been trying to set the mask beforehand, and I've seen that it has worked in a previous version, but I just can't get it to work properly in this one. Anyway, there we go. I think I'm gonna keep some more of the scene here. You can check here if you lower the opacity of the mask, you can see what you're painting away and what you're keeping. So that's fairly nice. We've got an extra little car here. So we're gonna add that to the scene. See if we can add something up top here. Yeah, this is sweet. We're getting some neon signs here with some cool lettering. Really liking what we're getting at here, actually. Let's see if we can somehow, let's say we want to go here. Oh, I forgot to set the mask, so I need to click this little button here. Easy mistake to make. Oh, it seems we got a woman up here. That's not really what we're looking for, so let's try to make another one. Another woman appears. What's up with this? Did we change anything with the prompt? We did not. I wonder why it's trying to make a woman up there. And again, that is fairly weird, to be honest. Let's scrap that. And let's just do it like this instead of a smaller piece. And don't forget to set the mask this time. Moving back, and let's see if we can get something other than a woman here. Oh, it keeps getting that woman in there. Something is surely wrong with this. Let's check our settings quickly. We have a new seed. We have latent noise. Denoising is high. Oh, I can't for the life of me figure out why we're getting women up there. It's something in this scene that makes the AI believe that there's a woman there. But no matter, we are just gonna check that in because now we got the little city. I'm gonna add a new layer and we're just gonna healing brush her out. So this isn't my best work with a healing brush, but since this is just a tutorial for Stable Diffusion inside Photoshop, you will have to make do for now. Anyway, now we have an image that is, well, a little bigger than what we started with. You could keep outpainting like this, however long you wanted. Now if we select Inpaint here, we're getting a new layer that says Paint White to Mask. So you can either press the brush, you can change by right-clicking here and select all of this, or you can press W for the object selection tool. If you check this little box, sample all layers, you can select here the object, and then you can just fill white into your mask. So if you check the mask here, this is what we have. And you're going to make a selection here. And we have Cyberpunk Woman. Here we're going to change to original. We had latent noise before, so this is the mask content. That's what you're changing. That's because we want to work with what's in the scene. We don't want to add lots of new stuff which comes from latent noise. Then it would replace everything and try to recreate it. We want to keep stuff and then work with that. And the denoising here, that's how much the scene will change or the image will change. If you set this to 1, it will change fully, and 0, it will not change at all. I'd say 0.4 is a good value for upscaling or upgrading an image. 0.6 is when you want to start making smaller changes. We want fairly big changes now, but still want to keep the image, so we're setting this at 0.75. So this should get us a new woman standing in the same position here. So let's generate this. And that is exactly what we got. Now we're zoomed in at 200%, so that's a little pixely. We're working in a fairly low resolution here just to get some speed into this. But I'm fairly happy with this. There's some, you can see some slight edging there, but you can play with those mask blur and mask expansion values to increase or decrease the mask. Now we're gonna set this. And we are going to move on to, well, actually, I saw, no, the image moved a little bit. Can you see that? Let's find the image here. Good part about this, it's non-destructive. So you have the layer here. See if we can position it back in. There we go. And not really perfect, is it? It is not syncing up 100%. See if we can just, like that. That's much better. Almost no change at all. Now you could continue this. You could, again, paint here, just a face. Cyberpunk Woman face, and select just that area, and inpaint that. So the smaller pieces you inpaint, the more detail you will get in your image. There we go. Let's take a stab at the little lights up here. See if we can get some better neon signs here. There we go. And there we go. We'll see if this is too big for us. I don't think so. Cyberpunk neon city lights. Again, with the woman up here. There's something up here. It's like a cursed spot there. Anyway, that'll do for now. So let's take this little car here. Cyberpunk car. We're not very original today, are we? It's cyberpunk this, cyberpunk that, but I'm okay with that. Oh, that turned into something completely different, and that's because we had the denoising strength set at quite high. However, I think it's almost better because traffic runs, or at least in the majority of countries in Europe, you have right there and that way there. So if we would do the other way, while a little bit cooler, it's kind of the wrong way. And this is a one-way street. But either way, we're going to change back the denoising to 0.5 and get another image here. I think that's better. This will be a one-way street. So now I've shown you text-to-image and Inpainting. Let me show you quickly the power of ControlNet. And I've made lots and lots of videos on ControlNet, and you can find them on my channel. But this will be the first ControlNet video inside Photoshop. All the others have been inside Stable Diffusion Automatic 11.11. Now I had an image here somewhere. Here it is. Actually, we're just going to create a completely new scene here. I'm going to get that image back in there. So we have this woman jumping here. There we go. And inside ControlNet here, you're going to press Enable. Now I don't need to run low VRAM because I'm in RTX 3080, but if you do, just check that. And the weight here is how much it will follow the image here. And the guidance, strength, and start is when it will start adding ControlNet and when it will end the ControlNet. So I have a whole video on that if you want to check that out. So we're going to change this to depth here and depth here. Then we're going to head back into the Text2Image. And now we're going to change this into ballerina dancing. And we are going to make this image a little bigger because this is at 1024 by 1024. And we are generating. You need to, all right, we need to add a ControlNet image. A ControlNet image. So we need to press the little button here, set ControlNet. And then we are heading back and trying again. So now it should create a depth map of our character here. And then out of that depth map, create the ballerina dancing. Here you can see our ballerina taking shape. And now it's very close to what we had in the original image. And you can adapt how close you want it to be. Now this, I would say, is excellent. So the only thing that's actually not great here, I mean, the feet and the legs, great. You can barely see the fingers, which is actually good because hands are a tricky thing. And the fabric here looks good, but the face is a little messed up. But that's pretty usual with Stable Diffusion images, especially when they're small like this. So we're just going to inpaint that. There we go. And that there. Ballerina woman face. And we want about 0.6 denoising here. And we're generating the inpaint. I've noticed sometimes when you're inpainting, if you use a selection that's not square, I'm getting bugs and errors sometimes, and it works sometimes. Oh, right. Now it's doing exactly what it's supposed to, because this is a user error, because we didn't disable ControlNet. Now it's trying to enforce ControlNet into our little mask here. So that's not going to work. We're going to disable that, and we're going to generate again. And now we should be getting what we're looking for. And we are. And this is great. I mean, there is some, you can see the edges a little bit here. You can clean that up with mask blur and mask expansion, or you can just like do it yourself. You have the image here. So again, this is non-destructive. You can mask this and just paint it out. Since this is so close in color, I don't think anyone's gonna notice. We even got a little hair back from the other image. I think that's nice. So this is where you shine if you have, I think we need to get that little part back too. Yeah. If you have knowledge about Photoshop and photo retouching in general. Because you can really fine tune it. I think we want to add, see, get that edge there. Now I'm using the dreaded worst lasso, but that's fine. Sometimes you can, if you know what you're doing. I'm not saying that I do. I've just been using Photoshop for 20 years. So now we have our ballerina here. I'm fairly happy with that. Just gonna accept this. I just merged the layers together here. So now we have our image of the ballerina. However, now we're gonna create something else out of this. So we are going to go to ControlNet again and enable that. And we are going to have astronaut jumping on the moon. But now I think we need to be a little more lax with ControlNet, because if we have an astronaut exactly like this, it'll be a very tight fit. So we're going to lower the weight here. I'm thinking maybe 0.7. Could be a little low, but this is not about the perfect settings out of the box. That doesn't really exist. You have to fine tune it and work with it as you go. We're going to select all of this again. Make sure you change the width and height here. Now it says this is the arrow here, which is red and going down. That means our resolution is too low for this image. So now we would, let's do this and you'll see. If we generate this 512 by 512 resolution will be upscaled to this size, and it's going to be all pixely and not great, as you can see. So we're going to up this to 100%. So we got green and 1.0, and we are generating. And now we have our finished image, and we have the same pose here. We have kept, let's see, yeah, it's still very similar. So I'm thinking we could lower the weight even more. This is a bit too strong. Let's try again. And what you can do if this is happening, you can also change to open pose. This is, however, much better. Still a tight fit, but better than before. Check the comparison here. Yeah, this is much better. Now we change, you can see this, you can see the back here on this one. You can see the chest here on this one. But that's hard for the AI to understand sometimes. You might need to make a couple of generations to get that to work. But I'm fairly happy with this. I think it turned out great, to be honest. Let's accept this. And let's try again. Maybe this time we will do Darth Vader playing in Switzerland nature. Let's see what this gets us. I mean, we got the mountains from Switzerland, but I was expecting more grass and, you know, beautiful scenery. Darth is looking crisp, though. Let's change this to colorful, grassy, beautiful Switzerland nature. This is a shout out to my good friend Glenn from Switzerland. Did you know that he's the king of Germans, even though he lives in Switzerland? Weird thing, isn't it? There we go. Now it's not quite Switzerland, but it's cooler, and we're getting some sort of skirt on Darth. So this is nice. I like this. Now the arm went out to the side here instead, or actually over the chest, and that's probably because we have the lower weight on the ControlNet. Either way, I'm happy with this. Now you could keep going, like let's say if you want to add more detail here, you could change to Inpaint, and we're going to paint here. Let's change this to Star Wars control unit. Lower the mask expansion a little bit. We don't want to get too outside of the scene here, and we need to, there we go. And while this still is a little buggy, I have to admit that, the workflow and all the features that you have in Photoshop kind of outshine what's available in Automatic 1111. Now, when I say features, Automatic 1111 has more AI features and extensions, but Photoshop has all these, you know, well, the regular Photoshop tools. Now this didn't really turn out the way I wanted it. I'm gonna lower the denoising to about 0.4. Remember I talked about if you want to keep some of the image, but want more detail. So this is more like it. I like this. So there you can see, if you zoom in a little bit, this is the old one. It's kind of pixely and shoddy. And now we're at 900% zoom, so it's still going to be pixely. You can see this is much smoother. Before, after, before, after. And I mean, this is just a 1024 by 24 pixel image. If you have a big GPU, you can go even higher. So this was a look at ControlNet inside Photoshop, along with Text2Image and Inpainting and Outpainting. I hope you had fun here with me today, and if you did, feel free to like and subscribe. If you don't, whatever, I'm not your boss, but it sure will help me and my videos moving forward. It's been good chatting with you guys. As always, have a good one. See ya.